Hello, welcome back. I'm Eleanor. Thank you for coming. And this is my podcast between Nasi Goreng and fried rice. Hello, James.
Hi, Eleanor.
So good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. And we've talked a little bit, and we've got food waiting for us, which is great. But let's talk about you.
Me? Okay.
Yes. Do a little bit of introduction, because I do know you, but we've been in board meetings and we do have dinners together, but we never really talk about ourselves, do we? So I'm very interested to know more about James.
Yeah. So, thanks for having me. Actually, this is the first time anybody has expressed interest in my personal life. And basically,
Why not?
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, usually when you speak to people about in our area, in a sort of like in the community, in the East and Southeast Asian community, it's always about
What you do.
what you do. Well, for example, are you especially for Filipinos, it's mainly about the migrant domestic workers and nurses and health workers in the UK from the Philippines. And somebody like me is not like the norm, not the typical sort of Filipino.
Public servant.
Yeah, so I was
not in the NHS.
so every time you meet a Filipino, you go, "Oh, are you a nurse?" I said, "No." Okay. So what do you do? So when I explain to Filipinos what I do, and they would say, "Huh?" So I would say I work for TfL, the Transport Authority of London, and I do this and that, and they would say, "Huh? Okay."
Yeah, that is, I don't know why that isn't interesting, because for me, it's not people ask me if I'm a nurse. They start talking to me in Tagalog on the street. And I would say, I am very sorry, I'm not Filipino.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, but you look so much like one. I said, I'm a Malaysian, which is next door.
Yes.
Yes. I'm not. I mean, I'm quite flattered, because I think Filipino women are really beautiful. But then, yeah, I'm not. So I think we also should say a little bit about how we met.
Yeah.
And why we met.
Yep.
If you remember, because I've got terrible memory.
Yeah, I remember us. So we met because we were both board members of an organization called EVR, who's now rebranded as Sesame.
EVR stands for End Violence
and Racism for
against East and Southeast Asian communities.
Yeah.
Very long.
Yeah, very long. Yeah. So Eleanor was part of the board when it formalized itself as a CIC. Initially, we were like, a few of us met in 2020 during the height of the lockdown and the pandemic, because all of us were disgusted by the racism being faced by East and Southeast Asian people during the COVID times. I was really upset by the fact that a lot of Filipino nurses were actually dying because they're being exposed to COVID whilst working in the hospitals. I was like, why are we facing this sort of risk? It's because we're in the front lines. Filipinos are usually in the front lines. It's usually Filipinos who are either nurses or nursing assistants.
Or doctors.
Not even. So initially they were like focusing more on doctors, but eventually they found all these other workers who are not high profile doctors, but are actually more sort of like frontline workers, like nursing assistants, nurses, and Filipino workers in the care in the social care industry. So that's what brought me there. And then there was this person who was one of our founding members who sent out a tweet saying, "Now we want to organize and make our voices heard. That East and Southeast Asian people are victims of racism as well?
Yeah, because before that, I think East and Southeast Asians think that that it doesn't touch them.
Yep, it's immune.
We're kind of, you know, we're people of color, but we're not
Yep,
in that class of being, being victimized. But then suddenly, because of COVID,
yep,
we are.
we are.
So put us in the front line.
Yep,
So, I mean, I found it fascinating because, I mean, like you, this was why I got brought in, although I've always been involved in working against racism, but not specifically as an East Asian.
yep.
And so suddenly I was like, what?
Yeah.
Do you know? Because we're usually seen as the good majority who doesn't say boo to a goose.
Yep.
Kind of, that kind of relationship.
The model minority, as they say.
Yeah. Even though I don't think I was ever seen as a model minority
Same here.
in any ways,
Yeah.
because I've always been sort of more in the disability front line.
Yep.
It's really funny, but I think being in South Asia, I don't know whether you agree with me or not, we don't visit each other.
Exactly. And that's what I found really strange, that East and Southeast Asian peoples, when they're at home, they sort of don't look at their neighboring countries. Say, I want to visit Malaysia, or I want to visit to Jakarta or Indonesia. So we always go, let's go west. Let's go to Europe, or we go to the States.
Or
Australia. That's the thing. That's our thing, isn't it? We don't want. But now, that's what's really good about being here in the UK, is that I get to meet people like Eleanor and people from the board of EVR, when we're all sort of like from different parts of Southeast Asia, and that's why I really want to visit Malaysia. I haven't been to Malaysia. I've been to the Kuala Lumpur airport, but I want to go out.
Well, you should go. I should introduce you. Yeah, a bit on the side, but I always wanted to visit Southeast Asia, but it's never been accessible for me. The only other country I've been to is, and that's not true. I've been to Singapore, very accessible.
Yeah.
But I'll be polite. Once is enough. It's a very rich country. But very small.
Yeah,
country.
London is bigger than Singapore, right? So you could finish your Singapore trip in like what, 2 days?
Well, no, there's more to see, but I would say it's you don't go there for the mountains and the hills. Let's put it this way. Yeah. But I have been to Bali again. That was beautiful, and I would go there again, except again it's not accessible. I've been to Thailand, not just boasting where I've been to, but I went to Thailand mostly because my wheelchair got stuck in Heathrow Airport. I had no wheelchair in Bangkok. So I ended up being stuck in Bangkok because they lost my wheelchair.
Yeah.
So, that's... But I would...
Do you find Bangkok accessible? I think I visited once. I don't think it's accessible.
I don't think I had... I didn't have a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah. So you didn't really get out. Okay. Yeah.
But I would love to go visit places like Vietnam, Cambodia,
exactly.
Laos, if
Philippines.
I could. Yeah, Philippines. The only thing about Philippines, which I don't know whether it's true or not, is that they said because of Malaysians, it's not safe.
Oh, this is a good... Okay, now you say that. Because my wife, she used to have this business where she organized yoga trips all over the world. And our first trip was, of course, organizing a trip to the Philippines. And then we had a few Malaysians in our group. And they all was like, it's really true that in the Philippines, everybody has a gun. Is that like, no. And that everybody, there are lots of guns, but I don't think it's not like the Wild West where
It's the rumors. It's the rumors
Yeah.
that sort of, get come down and say, you get kidnapped.
Oh yes, because there was a point in the 90s and early 2000s where there's a spate of kidnappings in the Philippines especially against Chinese people of Filipino ethnicity, Chinese ethnicity. Plus, in the south of the Philippines, bordering Malaysia and
They're
and
pirates.
Indonesia, there are pirates and Al Qaeda backed groups who were kidnapping people. That is a thing. Because it's almost a porous border. So between Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia, these groups would just operate there and they kidnap tourists, businessmen, foreigners.
Yeah, so I can't imagine that if you go to Manila, anything like that would happen. But then it's really, really odd. But it's like I can find out about Venice, for example, but I wouldn't be able to find out about a specific city in the Philippines because there isn't that kind of information.
No, because if you think about it, Manila is not a nice place to visit, really. I wouldn't want to. You should. I'm thinking of being too hard, but it's
a city.
It's a city, a massive city. Lots of traffic, poverty, and then inequality. But it's a nice. My family is still there, so I still feel at home. Manila, it would never change. But you only go there just to jump off into the islands. So you take the flight from Manila to go to Boracay, Palawan, all these nice beaches in resorts in the Philippines. So you go there that's it.
I think it's also because we're so rich in that kind of resorts in Southeast Asia.
You don't really...
That we don't. I mean, I still have not been to Australia, and that's only a hop away. 8 hours flight from Malaysia. But it's never interested me. And I don't know. I think it's our colonial kind of education that sort of make us think, well, no, Australia is still very white, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's like, we want to go to Europe.
Yeah, or America. To what's it called? The Imperial Core.
Yeah. We ought to start thinking of decolonizing that kind of tourist kind of, places. And I say that now that I'm so much older, and actually, I can't travel anymore much. So it's a bit silly. But I think it's because I came to the UK to study. And so the places I would go and visit was Europe. And, I traveled extensively in Europe. But we're not here to talk about tourism.
But it's interesting that, that concept of us, East and Southeast Asian people, I only became really interested to travel around East and Southeast Asia when I was here. I came here to the UK.
Yeah.
It was before. I want to go to.
Yeah, I mean, so much more kind of like romantic, isn't it? Go to Venice.
Yeah.
Go to Milan for the festivals and stuff like that.
But go to Kuala Lumpur to experience the very best food in the world.
Yeah, Kuala Lumpur. Malaysia, you go for food.
Yeah,
that's definitely. I just read this thing. I just saw this thing on YouTube. If you want food, you go to Malaysia. If you want friendly people, it says go to Philippines. So I said, oh, really?
Yeah. We're quite welcoming to visitors in the Philippines.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But I mean, that's one of the reasons why I started a podcast, because I wanted to talk to my fellow Southeast Asians.
Yeah.
And actually, Eric, who's actually not Southeast Asian, although he did he did live in Singapore for a time being.
He's American.
He's from American.
Yeah.
He's from America. Yeah, and we talked about the influence of being in London, sort of thing, have on us. The sort of, because we get to mix with people we wouldn't normally get a chance.
Yep.
You know, and the food that we, although I think I don't know, I've never seen Filipino food in Kuala Lumpur. It probably exists, but just I haven't seen it. But
Yeah, probably, but yeah.
but here in London, I just need to go. I mean, like we just did.
Charlton.
Yes,
a few minutes
food,
away.
Yes, you know, and where we can go to eat.
See, the very first time I tasted rendang was here in London.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
blew me away.
really,
Oh,
rendang
lovely.
is not my favorite. My favorite. It's too rich. Rendang is beef which is stewed in very rich coconut cream
Yeah,
milk,
milk.
and a stew.
It's too rich for you, but because we have our version in the Philippines, but it's mainly influenced by the Spanish cooking, caldereta we call that, but it's similar.
But Indonesians have another version of
rendang.
rendang, which is very, very similar
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
Malaysian.
First time.
Yeah,
here.
but it's a classic.
It's a classic, yeah.
Malaysian dish, just like adobo.
It's like adobo, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my first experience of adobo was I had a good friend, Felix, who is second generation Philippines, I think. He came, he stayed with me, and the first thing he said, "I've got to cook you this dish called adobo." And I was like, "Really? What's it about?" You know, and he said, "So you get pork, you get vinegar." I said, "Really?"
You got some garlic.
You know, it, like you said, for rendang blew you away. Adobo really blew me away as well.
Rendang was like. We also have in the Philippines a version of laksa.
Really?
Yeah.
Laksa?
Yeah,
Which
laksa.
type of laksa? You know, did you say laksa? It's like saying salsa.
Yeah.
Because it could be anything.
So our laksa, and it is slow.
Laksa means sort of curry. You know?
Yeah. So our laksa in my town, cooked by my mother, and it's slowly dying. It's not that common anymore. It's not typical food in my hometown. Is you got part of the flower of the banana tree, and then you put lots of coconut milk as well, and then some noodles, and then some either seafood or pork. So you sort of like do that, and then that's special. When I was growing up, during November, when there's the All Saints Day in the Philippines, my mother will cook laksa with the rice cakes called puto. with like something like.
Is that sort of steamed in bamboo things?
Yeah, so similar like that.
Yeah, I think we have that in
banana
Malaysia.
leaf is usually covered in banana leaf, steamed, and it's quite sweet.
Yeah.
Puto, so it's like we call that, and then you pair it with the laksa.
You know, you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
I'm not going to the Philippines for the food because I think you can find it in London.
Exactly.
But yeah, it sounds really good. But that's one of the things we do very much, whether it's for EVR or not. We can't have meetings without food.
Without food, yeah.
That's a very Asian
thing. Yeah.
Asian thing. I think for the Brits, it's like you go to the pub.
Yeah.
And then this doesn't work for me because I can't drink.
And then they organize meetings during lunchtime but not provide food. Whereas in Asia, if you organize a meeting during lunchtime, you're expected to provide food.
Yeah. And then I'm not going to go down this road, but if you provide food, they just give you sandwiches.
Exactly, cold sandwiches. Like
sandwiches.
That's not really food, is it?
Well, it's but you want hot food. You
Exactly.
know? And,
warm.
Yeah, and people say, but it's the summer. I said, I don't care. I,
There's no such thing as winter in Southeast Asia.
no, we always have hot
All right.
food, you know. Anyway, so I was just thinking, go back to like EVR.
Yeah.
I resigned because I'm just slowly retiring from different things. But where do you think it's going? I mean, we should explain a little bit about where it is now. Maybe you should explain a little bit.
So
where it
we
is
started as an advocacy group, isn't it? Campaigning
Yes,
and advocacy group
campaigning,
because
that's right.
we wanted to raise awareness when it comes to racism experienced by Southeast and Southeast Asian people, and then even like provide inputs to policy making in government and stuff like that. But since then we've started to focus more on mental health services.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we rebranded to Sesame, which is it is our trading name in what do you call that, in company's house anyway. So it was quite an easy transition to Sesame and away from EVR, because I think most of our service users associate us more now on mental health services than a campaigning and advocacy
Yeah.
group. You know, that's the direction of the organization that's it's going to now. And I think that's where it would eventually settle, definitely. But then we've not closed that venue or avenue of doing some campaigning and advocacy work. Eventually, I hope it goes back to its roots as well, or maintains that root of
Being
doing
campaigners.
campaigning and advocacy, because you cannot never disassociate mental health services from actually rooting out
And you don't know
racism and
what's
violence.
going to happen.
The reason why we have service users is because they face racism and discrimination and violence based because of their race and color. So I don't think we could sort of separate it.
But also, we look at current events.
Yes.
Look what's happening in Los Angeles.
Look at that. Yeah.
You know, we don't know what's gonna happen. And here in England, people talk about Nigel Farage and the Reform Party. It's a bit scary.
It is. We just had a race riot last year. People
Yeah.
forget about that race riot.
But people voted for Trump.
Yes.
How can we be sure that people are not going to vote for Farage?
Yes.
Do you know?
So they're leading the polls now, reform. So the prospect of having a reform government is there.
Yeah, because they say all sorts of things like get rid of immigrants and, you know, and stuff like that. It's completely misleading people. But then if you're poor and you're scared and you know, and you think, yeah, why not? You know.
Well, the thing is,
it's like how we got led to vote for Brexit.
Yeah, but then I would not. Farage and Reform are a product of the Conservative and the Labour Party not doing things for people. Yeah, so they're now looking for alternatives, and they see Farage and Reform as an alternative to these two, frankly, you know, racist parties as well.
Well, I've said, like, yeah, we can't ignore politics, but I'm gonna try and stay off party politics.
Yes, let's stay away from it. But let's stay off party politics. But the politics of it all is that, you know, it is
scary.
Our direction of travel is brought about by the current incumbents and the previous incumbent. So yeah,
it's very scary, and you know, I came back to England, and one of the first, it's a time of austerity. I started my campaign work 2010.
In the middle of austerity.
Well, no, it's just started.
Yeah,
and I remember going down the streets of Birmingham in the pouring. Well, it was raining. You know,
it's always raining in Birmingham. Is it always raining in Birmingham?
No, it wasn't, but that time it was. I still remember 3rd of October 2010, with all the unions and all that was just the start of the austerity
The David
and the
Cameron, Virginia
coalition
government, yeah.
government. And I was thinking 2010 to 2025, what has changed?
Nothing really.
Have we actually gone back?
Yeah, definitely.
We've had how many years of austerity, and we have now the Labour government saying that they want to cut so much off from disabled people, which are the sort of most, already had how many years of austerity?
Yeah.
How much more can you? I have people, you talk about mental health, people who are saying that, they can only, they're looking at suicide. And there have been people who committed suicide because of cuts, of benefit cuts. And even though some of them are mistakes by DWP, that wasn't saying you got to come to a work assessment. Well, that person is hospital. How do you expect them to go? And that person was so upset that even if you never had mental health issues, something like that could easily just sort of set you off, because you can't see how you're going to get yourself out of that hole. How are you going to, if you have got rent to pay and you can't pay your rent, you can't feed your family, you can't even feed yourself, you've got no heat, I mean, I didn't mean to go on a high horse about that, but that is one of my kind of like...
So you're back in that campaigning mode against austerity again. You thought that would have changed since 2010, but it's still there. I think it's
and especially
worse.
Now, okay, no party politics, but who's in government? It's just like, oh God. Anyway, so the future is that's all negative, but the positive thing is we're learning to collaborate together.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
I hope.
Yep.
And
people are getting together. It's an eye opener for most of us that even that we've elected this current government to sort of like change the other government, it's the same or it's making it worse. So I think the stuff that we worked on, say like for example EVR, that was in place during the Conservative years, is still relevant up to now, and it's becoming more relevant now because things are still in that direction where racism and violence is still being applied against marginalized and underrepresented people.
I see what's happening in Los Angeles. I'm so scared, and what's happening in Palestine is disgusting. What our government is doing is disgusting. And where do we go? But maybe where the lessons of history. I'm not going to go down about where the lessons of history, but I think we should finish on a positive note.
I think we should.
Yes, and think that it's food that's going to join us together, and cooking together, and breaking bread together,
celebrating
together is also an important part. And all this, let's hope there will be one day. Don't know when. I probably won't be alive then.
I think we should be. There's still hope for us. I think I'm still maintaining some positivity.
Yes.
Because there are still, if you think about it, I don't think that our situation is worse than we were like what our parents grew up in after the war and during the war, Second World War, where it's still. I remember growing up in the 80s in the Philippines and early 90s where it was really bad. Things have improved a lot, but it
Yeah,
could improve more. Definitely,
it shouldn't go back
it shouldn't
anyway.
go back anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with you. It wasn't good. It wasn't always good, and you know, I remember my parents were immigrants,
Mm.
and I guess I can call myself an immigrant as well. So yeah,
Yeah, we were
we should
actually
have.
we were meant to discuss something in your when you texted me.
Oh,
Well, karaoke.
oh yeah, we talk about food, but let's finish on because we never finished that conversation we had because you were telling me about karaoke in the Philippines, and I was
Well, okay, so
fascinated. You should continue on that.
karaoke is such a big thing in the Philippines. Everybody has a here, even here in the UK or in abroad. Most Filipino families abroad have a karaoke machine. It's like a mic like this, but and it's got chips inside, and you could just hook it up on your TV or your hi-fi, and you could play karaoke. You can use karaoke, sing. And then I was telling a story about to the EVR board that it gets really serious in the Philippines when it comes to karaoke. That people get murdered for it. Um, there was so there was this thing there. People would get murdered for singing "My Way." Frank Sinatra. All Filipino men seem to think that that's their what do you call that?
That's their theme song.
Their theme song, and then people would sing it, and then people would make fun of it. It's a funny way of you get my way sung in a bad way, and they would cause a fight, and then people would sometimes use their guns and then stab each other. So that's it could get dangerous.
And you said Philippines is safe.
He's safe, but you don't have to go to those karaoke places where you could get stabbed or shot. You just have to know where to go. But it's karaoke is part of life there.
I have found a place that says it does karaoke really well, and I keep thinking that we should have one.
We should.
Yeah, let's finish on that. Let's go plan.
So the next
have a karaoke.
So the next
with food.
The next EVR board, which I would invite everyone, was meant to have a karaoke thing.
Yeah.
But then it's hard to get people into London, but we're still planning it. So I think we must do a karaoke as an EVR board plus friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
EVR board is too small.
The EVR board is too small. We got new board members, by the way.
Have we?
Yeah, we got two new.
Oh, cool.
Eileen and Olivia. So we must
definitely
meet each other because I haven't met them in person yet. So it's I think high time to have that. I think what we're going to do is because EVR is working towards being a charity. When that's done, it's time to celebrate because it's an achievement for us. Yeah.
But on that note, I should say thank you so much, James.
Thanks for having me.
It's so good talking to you. And I think that you should do more podcasts.
Yes. Am I your first Filipino guest in your podcast?
Definitely are.
So we could still we could always have a conversation, Eleanor.
Yes. We'll just have to talk about food next time.
Food. So we've done karaoke.
We should have a cooking session or something.
Yes. Yeah, food. We've done karaoke now, and then what else? Maybe just
food.
Cultural stuff here in the
cultural stuff. Yeah, I don't know that much cultural stuff about the Philippines. I do know about, Indonesia and Singapore is. I won't say anything rude.
So there are lots of
Singaporean friends. Huh?
There's lots of Filipinos working in the West End. Yeah.
Doing what?
Singing
and dancing.
Yeah. So.
I can totally believe that.
So there are Filipino casts in definitely there's always been Filipino casts in Les Miserables. There are Filipino casts in Hamilton.
I saw that loads in Hamilton.
Yeah, and then Miss Saigon, of course.
Yeah, not my favorite. But
Yeah, I know. I've got issues, but it's mainly a Filipino sort of
Yes.
cast.
Yeah.
So there's lots of Filipinos. Recently, the Philippines Philharmonic Orchestra had a tour, so we've seen them in Cadogan's.
You'll have to
home.
let me know if any famous Filipino come and sing at the O2.
Yes.
We'll all go and see.
So they had this big Filipino group that went to Wembley last week or whatever, but I didn't go. But the Cadogan Hall, it's an orchestra. So the Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra had a tour, a UK tour recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go and see an opera next. So
See.
Anyway.
Okay, good. So next time we'll focus more on
definitely
East and Southeast Asian cultural stuff.
Totally.
Yeah. So that would be I'm up for that.
Totally.
Yeah.
We should join out and be happy.
Yeah.
Not just talk about sad
Yes.
current events.
Yes. I think we avoid that next time around.
We want to avoid that, but let's
focus more on
other stuff as
yeah.
well. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll definitely see each other again.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.